Hi, I'm Richard Burke Jones, and I wanted to take a few minutes of your time to sort of talk about watercolors and the surface of the paper. How watercolor is basically water with some color added to it, staying on the surface of good paper, and we can let the watercolor actually paint itself. I would say much more than 50% of it, the longer I had painted watercolor, it is you work with the water and allow gravity, and it's by way of example. I have a piece of watercolor paper, and you will see over my left shoulder, and the azalea, the colors for the azalea are just pop, and I wanted to show you how I did that. We're just going to add some water to roughly where the clouds, I'll call them, are associated for the azaleas. So using the bright rose, we're just going to float it in. Notice how it is beautifully just separating. I'll lift off here with a little paper towel just to make the highlights lighter. And I'm going to float in some more brilliant rose. The paper's still wet. It's not getting muddy or dirty, so you can float in more. And you might take a little highlights out. But that's the beauty of watercolor when it's wet. You can charge the color, if you will, by adding more of the same. Starting to add some branches using just raw umber. I will add ultramarine blue to it to get a little more of a punch out of it in a minute. These branches are just squiggly branches. They're holding up the azalea bush, if you will. And you can almost draw them in randomly and fill in. Basically, the umber will be supported again by the darks. You want to always add some strong darks if you can. It helps, it punches things. You don't need a lot of water this time because the paper's still pretty wet. But notice, compared to this here, how stronger the rose is. And so this is a second wash, if you will. And you can probably do a third one if you need to. I'll show you something else in a second that I like to do. Now the sun is coming from the upper left to the right, if you will. And some of these down here are actually in shade. And here is the study, the final version of what I just painted. So this is what I wanted to show you today. Here's the piece I was working on. I have, it's still very wet. I started with the rose, which is a beautiful color. I added some ultramarine blue, of course that makes purple. And then I used gravity, I'm still using it if you will, to highlight the top by keeping the underneath a little darker. And then I did the same with the branches. But I wanted to demonstrate how you can continually, once you wet the paper, you can continually add the pigment if you have a pigment that is strong. And then of course it gets a little watered out, watered down if you will, and then you can wait a while. You can dab it a little bit with some paper towel, and then you can add some more to it. And you can do that as many times as you want, as long as the color doesn't get dirty. That's your enemy. Keep the colors clean. So I hope you learned something. Thank you so much.